Good evening. Welcome to the December 10th Edgefield County Planning Commission work session. Good to see all of y'all here tonight. Looks like we do not have any guest speakers or old business, so Mr. Singletary, we can move right into new business. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right, looks like we got 4 items tonight. We've got land development application from Coastal Carriers Company, the Treehouse Project, Michelle's RV Park, and rezoning application for industrial development to general agriculture development. So we'll start with Coastal Carriers Company. Can y'all come on up? Good to see y'all. All right, so I think last time we saw you, you came in and talked to us about what you wanted to do. Kevin, it looks like everything is permitted or conditional except for the traffic impact study. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And I received that this afternoon. However, I did not have an opportunity to include it in the packet and get it to you for review. Staff's recommendation would be that if the applicants and the commission can come to agreement to continue discussion of this development at the January meeting so that the commission has time to review the traffic impact analysis study.
Okay. Any questions from the commission?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I just asked a question, a couple. First question I had, I guess, was regarding the retention pond being in the front. Obviously, you know, it's coming down the Sweetwater corridor. What is the, I guess, the intention, or what, Kevin, can you explain what we would do for some sort of a buffering, or kind of just to be sure that we've got a lot of experience of, you know, when you have these retention ponds, they can kind of become pretty big eyesores. Not day one, year 5, year 6, year 7. So,
My hopes were that it was gonna, the way the land slopes that way, to be able to put a retention pond down the side in between Palmetto overhead door and a slimmer one, something a little more appealing. Not a 50-foot one right in front. That was, ideal. So we're going back and talking about re-engineering that.
okay, all right. The second,
Dad to put a pump under the ground and do a pump.
okay. Second question I had is, regarding your business, I guess, do you do a lot of park storage and things like that? I mean, how does your, from a truck?
So we work on heavy equipment, ag equipment, track hoes, bulldozers, bobcats, stuff like that. And then we run a small trucking company also that transports the stuff in and out.
So are you saying that all the equipment you're gonna work on is gonna be stored inside the 5,000 square foot building? That's where you're gonna have all your storage for your parts and equipment?
Absolutely, nothing's outside, no. I mean, obviously, if you get 3 or 4 bulldozers at one time, you're not about to fit all that inside
Right.
the building at one time.
But when we talk about loose parts or
No,
anything
sir.
like that,
None of that.
all that's stored inside,
That's
if you're
correct.
parking anything, it's basically parking of what you can see as equipment
That's
or
correct. Yes, sir.
trucks or things like that, they're just on the yard.
Yes, sir.
That was all my questions.
Anybody else? All right, that's all I have. Thank you. All right.
What does that mean? Does that mean that we come back on January something? I mean, because we have Mike Ridgway out of Irmo do the traffic study.
So,
He came out, he did it, he got COVID, he went 13 days, finally got back with me today, look, man, I'm sorry about it, this and that. I'm gonna send it to you. He sent it to me. I printed off 6, 7 copies. I mean,
so when we go into the formal planning commission meeting, that's when we'll ask for a motion on your development, and it could be approved or denied, or it could be conditionally approved based on the traffic study, right?
Or continued.
Or continued.
Like I said, I, as staff, we have not had a chance to look at the traffic impact analysis and see what the engineer, if there's any mitigation. I don't suspect he would have any, but we haven't had a chance to review it. this can be continued to the January 14th meeting. That would give the commission time to review the traffic impact analysis and then vote on it.
All right, so we hang tight, we leave.
Hang tight,
All right.
hang tight. Thank you. All right, next we've got the, treehouse project. All right. Any new updates since we saw you last? No? I see you've got some plans in here.
Nothing's changed from our last meeting. We had a question about the entrance, though.
Mm-hmm.
That Mr. Singletary had asked if we were gonna widen it or we're keeping it the same. I've had several loads of rock delivered and dump trucks come over it, so it's we don't plan on widening it
Okay.
or doing anything to it unless we have to.
And Kevin, everything it looks like is compliant?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
How many are you gonna have total?
It's 2 buildings. It's 4, but there's 2 buildings. We're trying to just do 2, but like we said last time, the trees were too far apart. And
Right.
so we decided to do like a mother-in-law suite coming off the side of it.
Commissioners, if you look on the screen behind me, I have a elevation of the building. Look at the plans, you can see how it's a unit and a B unit that are each part of the building.
And they're connected by, I call it a land bridge, a walkway.
One bed, they're each one bedroom, right? Okay. So each set would share a septic tank.
Through DHEC, they decided to, same drain field, 2 separate tanks,
Okay.
which has been approved through them.
I wasn't here at the last
Yeah,
meeting, but is this Airbnb type?
No,
stuff?
what I told the board last time was, we bought the property and gonna build on it primarily for family use. But during the summer, that's what we're doing, but off-season, now, I would like the opportunity to rent it out. That's why I wanted to go to this route versus just doing the right way, because our goal is to use it as a family retreat.
I see.
But I don't want to handcuff myself and say, no, you can't rent it out at all. And that's why we're going this route.
I see. Okay,
That's not our primary goal.
I see.
And my builder was here last time and he got COVID, so.
Okay, okay. All right. Okay.
Any other questions? Well, you will when we move into the public speaking. So this is just the working session where the developers come up and tell us their plans and go over that. When we go into the actual formal planning commission meeting at 6 o'clock, then that's when we'll do the public speaking session. So you will have your chance to, make sure if you want to speak, that you sign the papers over here. Okay, that's the only way you'll get a chance to speak is if you're on the papers. All right? Okay, thank you. No more questions. All right, next we'll move into Michelle's RV Park. Do we have Derek Floyd or Mark Green with us?
It appears they are not here, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to rezoning application. Stanley Jackson, Billy Benton. All right. You're Billy? Okay, all right, good to have you.
Yeah, Mr. Jackson is out of town today. So the owner.
Okay. Kevin, we've not seen this before, correct?
No, sir, you have not.
Okay.
This is the industrial building at 35 Rabbit Trail that overlooks the Slade Lake. It's a 9,600 square foot industrial building. I've got several different potential buyers. One of them, a distributor, takes apart Subarus and sells every part of the Subaru to the aftermarket, used parts. 90% of his business goes internet sales out. Some small percentage people come in and over the counter. Right now it's zoned industrial, but there's a commercial side to this where it's not a lot of traffic, but it's some. He completely takes the cars apart and then takes the shell, what's ever left, to scrap. And it's all done inside the building. So the request is to add a commercial. Of course, he's not the only prospect we have looking at this building, but the building's in an interesting location, and it's got a beautiful view overlooking Slade Lake. There's a residential house going in right next to it, to the south side of it. And you've got office buildings there that would be suitable to potentially be converted to some sort of living. We've also had a prospect who had an extensive collection of antique cars. So you'd have a 9,500 square foot garage attached to a living unit. So we want that flexibility, and that's kind of what we're here to ask for. And in the overlay, Ms. Secretary was telling us that it was going to go to tell us about the overlay, please.
If I could, I'll first point out, I have the property highlighted. It's currently zoned ID, and what he's speaking about is the ID zoning does not permit retail sales. It only permits wholesale, whereas the GD zoning permits both retail and wholesale. So that would be the purpose of seeking that rezoning. What he's referring to, secondly, is the LMO. The LMO, in its current draft state, identifies this as residential village, which is a commercial residential mixed-use zoning category, kind of being on the outskirts of the town of Edgefield, being the transition. Retail of that category may or may not, depending on what's adopted in the draft of the LMO, be permitted. So one of the things, even if they do get the rezoning, in this instance, as recommended by the commission to council and then approved by council, would be to also get the appropriate zoning identified for the LMO draft, so that that use would be considered permitted. Or let's say it was approved before the LMO went into place and the LMO changed it to a zoning that did not permit that use, it'd be grandfathered in since it would predate a previous approval.
Now, you got that's in purple color, maroon or maroon. That's it. All that's property. Now, which one of the properties is that? The complete whole?
It's that one right there in the red and blue. This red one I selected.
Right there. Yes, sir. I'm trying to picture there's a building there now.
Yes, sir.
Now that's the old.
Then the Navy used to have a company that manufactured catapults and things.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah, it's a real big rectangular warehouse, and then on the back side of it, it's got an office with five offices.
I'm trying to picture them. I'm familiar with that.
It's right in the bend of the road. On the other side of the road is that big textile plant.
Okay, so if I'm leaving Augusta Road, coming down Rabbit Trail, that go between the warehouses, right? Am I right?
Well, you can get to it from that side. Okay, so if you come down between.
If I come from Augusta way, and I go between the two warehouses, and that's Rabbit Trail there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, they go around.
Okay, so you'd be approaching it from the south, heading to the north. So if you could back out, well, because there's the building. And in Park Mills, you see that big building there across the street from it? That's.
Okay, so if I go, Rabbit Trail coming back to all the way across.
It comes in twice, yes,
Okay,
sir.
on the
It's kind
other
of a
side of
loop.
Star Road then, right? It's on the left of Star Road then, won't it?
Right.
Is that right? Okay, now I got it, Okay, I used to call it the Sheva place. Okay, that's it. I got you now. When you said Slate Lake
The
had the
primary
flood.
purpose of changing the zoning is so you can allow for retail sales, is that what I understood?
We have a prospective buyer we're in negotiations with, and he, most of his sales are, he's disassembling cars and selling the parts, specifically Subarus. But he also has some counter sales. So it's not a big traffic generator, but under this current zoning, that would be prohibited use. Under the GD, it would be able to do both, and that's what we're asking for.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, the general development zoning has a broader range of permitted uses than the industrial zoning category does. So even if this prospective buyer did not end up purchasing the property, for the property owner, it would mean more permitted uses for the property.
Is this zoning adjacent to, also, is that what I saw? So the
Blue areas are general development, and those pink areas are industrial.
Is there any specific reason why, I mean, there's probably maybe none, but why that is, against the lake is zoned industrial and not general development?
I do not know. That was zoned before I was with the county. My speculation would be it was based off of the current uses of the property at that time.
I think that's correct on that.
Yeah, that building was an industrial building back when Carlisle was built, so that's why that got included as industrial.
Kevin, what is further around the lake when it's considered industrial? What are the businesses that are further around the lake there that we see highlighted?
Right here,
Yes, sir.
off of Augusta Road,
Yes.
I believe we have O'Reilly's right there.
O'Reilly. Right, yeah. That's O'Reilly right there.
Okay.
See, that's O'Reilly right in there when you go to, look like further, go back the other way, see. Right in that old blue is right in there.
Any other questions?
Is this zoning needed in order for you to be able to sell the property to this perspective, I guess? Or, I mean,
Yes, sir. That would be that, if he can't do his counter sales, he's not gonna wanna, it's gonna kill the sale. He'll employ about 6 people. He's currently in a building in South Florida, and he wants to move to a lower cost place. But yeah, so if that prospect goes forward, that's the key to the sale is getting it so he could do his.
is there actually a contract contingent on the rezoning?
There's a contract, the contract's been developed and it's in his hands. It's also, he's asking for some owner financing. So that's being negotiated as well. So it's not a done deal. And I've got another good prospect who's coming up, who bakes tacos with industrial ovens. So that would be fine for that prospect, although she may want to have a house or have residents on the property as well, or even for future use, since it's such a pretty site. So again, it's still, I don't have any bankable deals right now in hand.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Any others? All right, thank you.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
What's my next step on this process?
So this rezoning's already applied for. It was just after the date to get it into the memorandum. So at the January meeting, it will be on the agenda for Planning Commission vote on recommendation to County Council.
And I would come to the work session first?
Yes, sir, if the item's on the work session.
Yes, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, I think that was all the items on our work session. So we'll adjourn and meet back at 6 o'clock for the Planning Commission meeting.
So we both got it, man, and you can't give me what you want to do.
Yeah, I know it. So whoever, I don't know.
switch seats and you can plug in with the computer. No, Ray's ain't gonna fix ours. Yeah.
It's one of these, she posted in the that you already got. And she
I can't find it.
it's kind of like, and giving you your first, when you first come in, so you know,
For the regular meeting. Largest table's the lightest.
Well, that's the light.
can't stop progress. Can't stop progress. You know what? My grandmother, they live in not Sunny, it's his baby. And she got honors from Outcast. And she still calls it all the time. I don't give her no credit. She got in, she went to YouTube, pulled up what she wanted in YouTube. And when I was looking at it, she didn't want to see that part. So she let it go and hit skip. So
Behavior yourself. I guess and maybe not complete. Where's my boat? I try to figure out where's the
Tommy Paradise, the county administrator. These mics stay hot all the time. So, everything good? Let us know if you need anything. Same with you. Y'all gonna be tagged too, right?
I thought I was gonna be solo, and that was fine too. I can hold my own. They was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Oh,
I'm pretty good backup
oh
too.
yeah."
And what do you do?
I work currently at Amex in the shipping department. I'm the secretary back there.
You're still in hospital, right?
Feeling comfortable.
You're still in COVID?
Feeling.
Is it packed? As bad as they say?
Well, you know what? I can say for doctors, we kind of still stay as the lowest of impact, but we still have some of the things that they're doing now. I really don't quite understand how you get through. Y'all would be amazed. Slap on the floor.
Ms. Butler, I'm Andrew Reed. I'm the county attorney, so I just want to introduce myself also. And so, just giving you a heads up if you have any legal questions. I'll usually be here. It just depends on how controversial things are. Edgefield's a growing county, so a lot of these are growing businesses.
It's just like, it's everywhere.
Shot at Edgefield, a farm over there. It hit his office. It's been out of business.
It's just how it comes.
And it's strange how it affects people differently.
Right, yeah, I
Some
know
people, it's really bad, and other people, it's not, and you just don't know.
I had a neighbor, he was about, he was good friends too. His wife was ill, but she thought, that was just mine. And then he ended up living.
Yeah, but then when he got it, it was serious, and you just never know.
Where'd
I
you go
hope
to?
that the vaccine
Oh, okay.
comes out,
Yeah, I hope so too, yeah.
because I heard last week that over 100,000 restaurants.
Where are you going to be 20 years from now?
You're gonna be doing this.
All those employees and
You're
all
gonna be doing like this.
suppliers,
I've seen lots of towns where
it's a ripple effect.
go through the low country.
They go out and recover from
I
it.
think so.
So look, so being
I think our area is doing pretty good, but some areas are not doing as well.
then you had the old harvest that went down. Gary's.
Oh, Gary's is gone? I guess I didn't realize that. I was just sort of amazed it lasted as long as it did.
Just overnight things.
Dream.
Just overnight.
Yes. When I think back in February, we would have never imagined all the things that were going to happen. not probably ever gonna be industrial again. Probably all ought to be changed to something that can be used. That residential village thing they're talking about could be good. That's more likely to get something going there, because I doubt those factories are ever gonna come back online.
Let's see, that one used to be, South Tower.
Yeah.
You know, in there.
Right.
I always got in the house and did that. I used to pay attention to that,
It's probably not ever gonna happen. And that's a good location. Residential, though, to just sit there doing nothing. I think any industry is most likely gonna be in one of these industrial parks, down 25 or down Madison County Road.
Usually it's a 5-year, 10-year period or so. Depends what they're selling. Depends what the agreement says, especially, and they sell liquor.
Contamination. That's right. Real expensive problem. So I was kind of surprised. I was in Chattanooga last month for my grandson's birth.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I wasn't here at the meeting, and I was kind of surprised that you were not chairman again. I just kind of figured that really.
I get surprised everybody sometimes.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Yes. Careful what you ask for.
So what you said grandson?
Grandson, and then
And I wonder, 20 years from now, are there going to be all these empty buildings?
I've only been a grandparent for a couple of years now. So.
I didn't have any children.
Well, gas.
He finally got bad.
Very excited.
The gas is to get the people in to shop, really. That's where they make the margin on the candy bars.
Well, I tell you, I'm very glad because they're good parents, they're good, and everything's going well. And because of that, it's really nice because
Yeah, that's
the
bad.
grandkids are doing well.
Where did I draw the line? Toilet paper. That's where I panic. Everything else I can live without. Yeah. That's the first thing. Paper towels. And I don't know why. Yeah.
That's a beautiful area up there. So nice. It's just unspoiled, peaceful. How long have you lived there?
I wanted in 1960.
Right. Yeah. Just in case it's a backup.
Left Johnson. I was in Johnson. I was raised around Johnson.
Okay. What caused you to move up there?
Well, I got married. Then I wanted to get out of town anyway.
Okay.
I tried to city life and all that.
Price is the same.
I'd begin with, I was going to New York Police Department.
Really?
I just don't see that as much people using it as much as when it first started. That was a big push. And
I got to do that. And I was on the highway with the highway patrol.
Yes.
No, I can't get off. So I went to Orange Farm. I went to get it for myself.
shorter than the last couple. So you're like, you got, hopefully it's meeting.
Near McCormick.
Yeah, that's a
Big difference.
That's a big difference.
I think you made a good
I mean,
Yeah, I think,
I think that was a really good choice. I don't regret it.
no, they're nice to visit. It'd be different living there. I like the peace and quiet.
Yeah, even with COVID, this place was packed.
Very grateful for that.
And you retired, right? You work with them with.
I work, over in Augusta. My office used to be in North Augusta.
Right.
I moved over to Augusta. I work in commercial real estate. I wish I was retired.
See, I'm an electrician, plumber too.
Yes.
So you never retire because people come looking for you.
Yeah.
I went down when I first started going down to 10 or 15 guys, went out, cut out 3 days, 4 days like that.
Yes.
Now they're not back to food.
Can't do it.
County, we call them McCormick County, McCormick School.
Yes.
They were doing bad, so whether we didn't help them out, help them in top now. Call them up like they got customers with service for so long.
And they need you.
I see a lot of other people out there suffering.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I go like I go do little jumps and down. I don't even charge them anything.
Yes. Yes. To
Just
help.
they,
They'll get taken advantage of. Somebody will come late or overcharge.
I know it cause it's been in the front outfit. The lady had one week. They said, charge them $450.
That's like robbery.
I know change the hot water he got labor $350. That makes sense. Money they can do that.
It's terrible.
They're robbing.
It is.
People don't know they're in the
They don't know. That's right. They trust and they don't know who else to call. I tell you, I deal a lot with all types of contractors in my business, and if you find somebody that's fair and does good work, they're like gold, because you can't find them. You cannot find them. Somebody that knows what they're doing and cares.
A lot of people that motor shows on that lot of doctors and all that. I can't do all of it.
Please.
They say you're bad artist, just don't do it.
It's almost impossible. You can't find somebody that will represent you.
You'll have solar heating in the summer.
It's so easy. Like an electrician down in North Augusta. He could work 24 hours a day if he wanted to.
Right, yeah, I could too.
And he can't find any help, even his own son. So it basically all figure out that code and get to
did, I had a couple came to me last week. They building a house for sale.
And his little kids, and actually, and they can let them know they are.
Made it good. You got it.
Yeah.
He called me. She said,
They,
"You probably
that
told
much
cause I went out and talked
I
about
got
it."
to, I could go
And I
2,
said,
3
"Y'all
nights
did
and
it."
I'm
That's
still
what I
feeling
did.
my bones
What
are
I
full.
do.
I'm like, I'm looking up like,
You do
I'm
the
like,
hard work.
Right.
I supervise. Right. So I told him.
I mean, talking about one for that summer. It's like,
Sit the box on.
Summer.
Hey, well, we went back.
It's like 55. You want like a height.
Yes.
And they don't, and they'll stick with short trees.
It's not the kid stuff though, so.
Their body already conditioned.
I will lie.
Now, it's all cold. So they body down, just dig it all out. So I wake up, I'm like, getting my little body.
They worked.
Take the cover off.
I said all the houses. They got all the wild things. I helped them out. They helped me get them too.
Yeah, they probably forgot. Yeah, they stopped all.
Gotta help yourself, you help me. Better tell the guy, how you do your house.
Some of the children got it.
Yeah.
Get ready, yes. Yes.
You do it. Yeah, some people won't do that. But Dr. Newton be down there with roll out shows. I did the one out here, but he helped me all the time. He wasn't working. He wasn't out hospital. He don't believe.
Yes.
He wasn't in the shop. He was pulling the wire. Money came good.
That's fine.
But I'm sitting,
Before I got it.
You know it's coming, why do you?
I said, now take this. I didn't have to do really.
That's right.
They years ago.
you know, now, I think what's there.
We work together.
And you make sure it's done and it's done.
It's done.
And everybody's happy.
Yeah, but you squeeze
But
it,
you come
you know
home
it's
from,
coming.
you got a problem. If I can do it, I can do it. Good. I'll walk you through it.
Now, you're the Edgefield hospital. You're the Edgefield.
I've been to it.
There's not,
Oh,
not many people like you. You know, most people would not take the time to help anybody. And you do really well. Unfortunately, that's.
Allow me to see all in. I don't have to have everything, I don't have to do everything.
well, I'm practice over at
It
Edgefield.
does.
Actually walked out 3 weeks ago. She just walked out, and one of the reasons, she's just stressed about calling.
So recommend you say, you know, that you can trust you do it. I'm gonna leave it, keep it. I go do it.
Go out of town, things like that.
Great.
I've been with her for 6 months, and she just
That
worked.
kind of trust is so
You know what,
important.
I know it really is. Go back there.
And I talked to other mental health professionals
To
too.
me, it's not worth,
People are
any
stressing
kind
out.
of business relationship if there's not trust.
She was
I feel like somebody doesn't trust me.
I don't like
I
it.
don't do it.
I think you call it extension of work.
That never advertised. One time, that was 1960. Advertised newspaper, used to never advertise since.
And that's it.
Took pay calls out here.
Why?
Thanks for calling, they call and say, hey, somebody told me about you.
Yes,
That's what it
yes.
was.
That, you can't buy that
You
kind
can't
of
have it today.
advertising. That's kind of,
He did not close, but he got the link.
my nephew is looking for something to do in life, and I've told him several times.
Your country's ready.
Amen.
Something like
You
that.
just add all that.
I think you could do really well.
Able to do that.
I think you may consider it.
I try to get kids out of there like that. I'm sorry about kids.
Yes.
I still to this day think made it. So but
I have family in Johnson. All my brothers and all of them, we was always, constructed and all, but everybody old now. I mean, they had passed on.
What do you do like for Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Oh,
Y'all get
the
together?
thing we have a get together.
Stay small.
That's what we're gonna do. All the gifts and stuff, we're gonna find some families that they need.
Give the gifts to them. Yeah, I think that's great. Yes, that's good. I like that.
All I gotta do is be here.
You had a good week this week?
Sir?
You had a good week this week?
I have. How about you?
No.
That's right.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, boss?
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. You bring up, give her that bootleg liquor you make it now, baby. You bring her, give her that bootleg whiskey you manufactured that on the fly.
Wish I had some of that. Wish I had some of that.
That's right. Yep.
What did you do, give me the broken chair?
I don't, yeah, I did.
You did, you switched chairs.
You caught me. I was wondering where you were at 5 o'clock, so.
Just getting off the golf course.
You had other.
Good evening. Welcome back to the Planning Commission meeting. Most of y'all were here for our work session. For those of you that were not here for the work session, welcome. We're glad to have y'all. We're gonna start the meeting tonight, with an invocation. Mr. Burt, would you mind opening us up in a word of prayer?
Heavenly Father, we come at this hour to thank you once again for giving us the opportunity to gather here at this spot. We thank you, Father, you know the purpose that we came, and we pray, Father, for harmony. We thank you for guidance through the order of what we do things, dear God, that we might do it in order as well, and that we keep in mind and not be personal in what we do, but do according to what the rules of order are. We ask you to guide us and keep us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, we'll now stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I think now we're gonna have, swearing of new planning commissioners. So we are in a new year, for the planning commission, and we'll swear in the new commissioners now.
Mr. Brown and Ms. Butler, if you'd please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I am duly qualified according to the Constitution of this state to exercise the duties of the office to which I have been appointed, and that I will, to the best of my ability, discharge the duties thereof, and preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state and the United States. So help me God. Thank you, and congratulations.
All right, we're now gonna have our election of the planning commission chair.
Mr. Burt, you have been elected chairman.
Okay, we'll next we have an election of the planning commission vice chairman. And Mr. Neal, we will assume the position, so we're gonna pass out for vice.
Yes, sir. Mr. McNeil resumes his position as the vice chairman of the planning commission.
Okay, appreciate it. All right, we go on to our approval agenda. Approval for the agenda of December 10th, 2020 meeting. I need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda.
second.
Motion and second that we approve the agenda for December 10th. We have an agenda for tonight. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposers? Okay, now we had a minute. We have been, no minutes. I think they were quite ready, right? Okay. No guest speakers? Reports?
Yes, sir. Just one report. James Oliver, appointed term as the District 5 Planning Commissioner concluded on November 1st, 2020. James Oliver served on the Planning Commission from February 7th, 2019 until a new appointment was made December 1st, 2020. James Oliver also served on the Planning Commission for 6 years between 2000 and 2006. Staff would like to thank James Oliver for the time that he has served on the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you, sir. We appreciate what Mr. Oliver done for the time that he gave us on both reasons. Old business? No old business. Now we're going to new business, which is our land development application for Coastal Carrier Company. Policy ID 126-003-06700 Sweetwater Road by Coastal Carrier Company, LLC. At this time, we're gonna have this for a public hearing. And let's see on the, we don't have anybody, no one, nobody on the sheet. No one. Okay, so we're moving to the Planning Commission review for the Coastal Carrier. At this time, the commissions and discussions and so forth on this application we discussed in the work session. Any comments, questions, discussion? Okay, we know this was Caruso, which we talked with. He's proposing the development of a heavy equipment repair truck transportation facility on Sweetwater Road. And the development is proposing a 5,000 square foot building for the repair shop, a grabber parking surface of 10 spaces, 2 of which are handicap accessible. The detention pond area is proposed to be at the front of the property and a proposed drain field at the rear of the property. That's the one that we discussed in the work session. He is in compliance, and I think the traffic impact study would not it just come in. So it's my recommendation that we forward it to in the meeting in January until the report is studied. So if I get a motion for that, if it's approval.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we make this motion to carry over to the next meeting, January 14th? Which is the next meeting, January?
January 14th.
14th, I was correct, January 14th.
Could I get a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? Any discussion on it? If not, all in favor of the motion, said motion, raise your right hand. Opposers? Ayes have it. All right, thank you. All right. Our next is Patriot Construction. It's proposing the development of a short-term leasing rental project, the Treehouse Project. This development would be located off Spires Road, with product ID 01900000007, Triple R. The developer is proposing 2 buildings, each at a 2-unit structure connected by decking. The building and decks are raised with the decking built around existing tree trunk. There is a gravel parking surface of 7 spaces, one of which is handicap accessible. A ramp leading from the handicap parking is to one of the buildings. The other is accessible by way of footpath from the parking surface. And at this time, we public hearing on this. And I think we have Charlie Coleman. Would you come forward, state your name and so forth, and give us just 3 minutes?
Hello, my name's Charlie Coleman, and I just have some questions. And I own the property adjacent to this piece of property that we're discussing here. And I didn't know anything about it until I seen the sign out front about the zoning stuff, and I have some concerns. I've met Mr. Anthony in the past. I property from Mr. Winston, and it was a trash dump. And I believe Mr. Anthony had problems getting it surveyed. When I first met Mr. Anthony, he was actually had a piece of heavy equipment on my property, thinking that part of that property was his property. And we discussed a few times about, I asked him, I wanted to put a fence down the middle of it so it wouldn't happen again. Then shortly after that, there was a fire with a bamboo that was there. And I believe that's the reason he had problems getting somebody to survey it. I tried to hire some people to survey it, same people that he was trying to use, and they basically told me they wasn't gonna survey it because of the bamboo. Well, anyhow, a fire started. He was trying to burn up some of the stuff he was cleaning. It got on my property. Of course, the state came in there and dug big trenches down through the property, on my property side. And it kind of upset me a little bit, and I met him again. I'm trying to work out something to where we know where the property line is, and now I'm concerned because he's building 4 structures that are gonna be rental properties. I don't know what he's planning on doing with them, but I don't want people that rent anything to be ambling over on my property thinking that's part of the area. I don't want the shooting goes on. There's a lot of gunfire going on up there, and I don't want nobody to think they're gonna rent a place and then use it as a hunting lodge. And I've got the 14.7 acres on the whole corner of Sprouse, and I've got 20 acres across the street that I plan on moving to shortly. When my wife and I decide to leave Augusta, we're gonna build a house there. And my concerns are, how close are these structures gonna be to my property line? Do we know where the property line is now?
I paid $5,000 to find somebody and they marked it.
Okay. Could I get with you and can I put a fence
Sir.
around it?
Speaking of that.
That's my concerns, and those are the answers I'm looking for. How close are these structures gonna be to my property line? Is there any ordinances that says he has to be 100 foot off the property line? When I bought my first original property in 2004 from Atlantic Coast Properties, I signed a covenants that basically stated I could not build but 1 structure for every 6 acres, and it had to be at least 1,600 square feet or larger stick-built, no modular properties. That piece of property is not part of it, but that's what, the reason I bought my property is because of the covenants also. Since then, we've had some people that I consider, they have money. They built a 10,000 square foot house, built a 23-acre lake, 2 doctors, and a fellow that owns Peachtree Pools. We're all concerned about what's going on over there. And I mainly have questions. I'm not here trying to oppose anything. I just want information so I'll know, and I want to express my concerns for the safety of the neighborhood and everything else, and make sure that we don't have a property line issue. And I don't want any renters, if y'all approve him to do this project, I don't want anybody to rent someplace thinking they're gonna use it as a hunting lodge, hunt on my property, or come over on my property, which I might be liable if they get hurt there or something.
All right, we'll accept that information then, right? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bill White.
Good evening, folks. Thank you for letting me speak. My biggest concern, I've been living on
Bill,
Sprouse.
state your name, sir.
An address.
Bill White.
Address, name, address.
Wait a minute, go Bill White, that's who I am. I live at 385 Sprouse Road, which is like 2 acres over from him. The person wants to build this development. Now, I'm taxed as residential. Is this gonna change to a business area, since he's gonna run a business off his property? How many acres you got there anyway, 14 acres?
Sure. But you're addressing
I'm
that.
asking him a question. How many acres he actually had there for all the extra people he's gonna put on his property?
Well, we'll address that.
Address that, well.
You'd have to give it.
My biggest problem is it gonna change and put me in a different tax bracket? Because it's gonna be now a business area? And I'm like Charlie there, I bought this property for peace and quiet. We're both retired firemen out of Augusta. And, we just wanted to live our rest of our life in peace and quiet, and this don't look like the answer to it right here. Okay? That's my biggest concern.
Okay.
I don't want it to turn into a hunting lodge.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. We'll take all this under consideration. I think that's what we have, have all minds on that, right? Clear? Okay, we will now go into our discussion on the commission here. And, ma'am? Wait a minute, hold on. I don't have, you have anything signed on?
That's the regular sign-in sheet they signed in on.
Oh, okay.
You can let them.
Okay, you can go ahead, come up forward, state your name and address.
My name is Beverly Post. We own property directly across the street. I don't think I've ever met you, but we are directly across the street. We're part of Lakeland subdivision, which I think was, we also bought our property from Atlantic Coast. That a wonderful man by the name of Mr. Kenneth Morgan helped us to find that property, and it is perfect for us. And we're happy to have anybody who wants to come out and to enjoy the neighborhood just like we do. We had the same concerns. We didn't know what was going on with the property. And we had concerns about, we had heard through the rumor mill that it would be changed to a commercial zoning or from, I guess, right now, we're considered agricultural and residential. And then what would, if you're just putting a couple of tree houses up, what would be the need to necessitate that type of zoning is what I had a question about, if that is indeed true.
Yes, ma'am, we'll address that in meeting, a question on that. Okay, thank you, ma'am. What that last name was? Your last name, Post? Okay, yes, ma'am, thank you. Okay, sir.
Robert Post, 416 Sprouse Road. I met Mr. Anthony a lot of times, and went over and talked to him, invited him that him and his son can come fishing and all. There has been numerous fires over there. Nobody attended them. Blazes, trees on fire, which got on this man's land. I had to call the fire department on numerous occasions and watched them. Even the forest people came out there. So my concern is if he was willing to let that go without nobody there, what's he going to do when he has people living there renting, which I don't understand about the tree houses concept until I saw it on TV the other day. So my concern is he going to have it for hunting and renting it out for like a little place to hunt on? And there's laws about that, about who can hunt on whose land. And there's a number for that you can, like an ordinance number. So my concern is if he was letting land burn without nobody there, I'm concerned about those people living there or renting from him and things. Because I was afraid that it was going to jump over on my land. And I got personal things, dogs. Me and my wife never was able to have kids, so we have dogs. That's what I was trying to protect. Those are just like, my animals are just like kids. They live in the house. They have a free roam of the house, just like a little kid. They got toys, and they have everything. I would have hate to come home and saw my land on fire and my dogs burned up because somebody was not paying attention to the dogs or not paying attention to his own property. Just drives off, you know, and I'm worried about what he does there later. Now, I welcome, he can live there, he can do anything he wants to on his property. It's his property, just like mine. But I'm just like my wife. What warrants? I could put a tree stand, I could put a tree house in my property. Do I need to have? As long as I'm not renting it. I could do that on my whole property. I own 20 acres. Me and my wife own 20 acres and a pond, you know. And I was nice. I was been nice to this man. I went over here and helped him try with his tractor when he was dozing and trying to clean up his land. You know, I mean, I'm trying to be friendly. But, you know, I got backdoored on this. And I'm worried about my dogs. If he's willing to burn and let this man's land, trees, he lost trees. I know. The forest department had to get on his land. And I don't even see where the land parks, so I'm worried about the fires. I'm worried about, because it takes a while for a fire truck to get there, because we're all volunteer, fire department. We have to go all the way up there about 3 miles to get the equipment to come down here to fight the fire, or Meriwether will come and help us.
Okay, so we'll take that information. We appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes, sir.
speak just a second. I'd just like to clarify for everybody that's here, there's a lot of confusion on what we do as a planning commission. I understand all of y'all's concerns. I would have the same concerns. We are only here as a volunteer review board, to review whether or not the use of the property is legal. So as of right now, things, if they're legal, we have to approve them. So we don't do anything with changing zoning or know how it's gonna change in the future. That would be different committees. So just wanted to clear that up. If it's a burning problem, you might want, or something trespassing, you may want to take it up to the sheriff's department or somebody other than us. That's all.
Okay.
Doc?
Thank you. Doc, you want to say something?
Obviously, I can't address any of the law enforcement issues or fire department issues, but a few of their questions regarding taxes and zoning, I can answer those for you. This property is unzoned and it's staying unzoned. This has no effect on the zoning whatsoever. What they're speaking of is their classification for property tax. The use of his land will change his property tax designation. It will not change anybody else's property tax designation. It has no impact on any other property except for his. Just.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. All right, this time we're going to put before us to review this, but we've heard comments from different ones. As he said, it's not zoned, and he meets that permitted with his application here. Everything have been according to what we have here. It rural agriculture is the land use, and I think we here have approval. It pin all the other approval, waiting our approval, right, on the D8 part of it, storm drain, storm water, wastewater, Aiken Electric, pending our approval.
Right, that would be pending the PC approval and then reviewed by DOC for the building permit process.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna open up for commission comments. Yes, sir.
Doc, I was following up your comments here. There were several comments about hunting and whether it's legal to hunt on the property and these kind of things. Are there laws or regulations pertaining to the size of the property? Anything that would pertain to these people's question about that?
I'm not really the one to answer that question. That's a DNR type issue, but that goes into law enforcement action.
Mm-hmm.
So if they were caught hunting on someone else's land without permission, then of course they would need to call the police or a game warden. But as for whether they can hunt on their land, yes. Beyond that, I mean, I don't have an answer for you in terms of what a game warden or police would do.
On that, it would be illegal. If being a resident, it would be illegal to shoot from that resident. You don't stand for those walkway for that's illegal under the law. And then you within so many feet, we have a wildlife have a feet distance that you can fire within the resident also. That would come under the DNR.
Right, but if they violated something like that,
Right.
that has nothing to do with the building and planning department or the planning commission. That would be a law enforcement action.
Right. Thank you. I wanted to clarify that.
Anyone else down the line? Any more questions?
No comment.
Okay.
Property line, how far from the property line can it go structure? That was one of my questions.
Okay.
Because I know I signed a thing, so that had to be at least more than 100 foot away from a property line to build a structure when I bought my property. If he wants, he can get a copy of the site plan from us. He can just come to the office and get one. It shows what the setback lines and all that are on it. But they do meet the requirements of the setbacks for Edgefield County. But we'd be happy to provide him with a copy of the site plan if he wishes.
more? Mhm. But it look, according to what we have here, everything's in order.
I just to make sure you need a motion.
Yeah, right, okay. So I get a motion to disapprove from someone.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the treehouse project.
Second, motion and second, any discussion? Any discussion? Now, all in favor of approving this project, raise your right hand. Now, opposers? Ayes have it. Okay, thank you. All righty. We'll move on. So our next would be, the land development application, Michelle RV Park. I think we still don't have anybody representing on this, and I think we discussed this before in the past, and there's no one here to represent us, so we won't really go into discussing it unless you want to.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead, Doc, sorry.
What's the automatic approval date?
The automatic approval date would be January 18th, 2021.
I'll be before then, right? Okay.
Yep, the planning commission.
We need a motion to continue, correct?
Right, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we continue the land development application for Michelle's RV Park until the next planning commission meeting.
Second? Okay, motion and second on the said motion. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of a continue to the next meeting, raise your right hand. Opposers? Ayes have it. Thank you. All right. Next is our land development application. We got that multiple plan commission work session a month when needed. That's all those three we have in it. Okay. Multiple plan commission work session a month when needed in order to officiate the time and review perfect developments of prior development in the draft land management ordinance. The planning commission may consider having an additional work session meeting in a month when needed. Discussion.
Do we not need a motion in a second before this discussion?
Motion's on the agenda. So I'm not sure what you're motioning in, just when you're going to have it.
Yeah, we got to come up with something to make it a motion. Consider, if we want to consider doing that, we need a motion to that effect. And we discuss.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Several commissioners have expressed a desire to, when need be, open up the possibility of having a second work session in a month to cover material to either reduce the amount of content at the regular meeting to keep the meeting shorter and within reason, and also with the LMO review coming back up in 2021, possibly using that as a separate time to review the LMO separate from development applications. Several commissioners have brought that up with staff, and when McNeil was acting chairman, he recommended let's put it on the agenda and opening it up to commission discussion to see if there was consensus or if a resolution or anything was needed to move forward on that.
Mr. McNeil, you have a motion to that effect.
I do. I have a motion. I make a motion that we have multiple planning commission work sessions a month when needed.
Get a second. Any discussion on this?
We talk about multiple, we're talking about adding one. How many are we talking about?
Our last month's meeting was 4 hours long, and we're also gonna have the LMO coming back on the agenda after the first of the year. So instead of having when we have a really busy agenda, we can split it up and have a separate work session separately from the formal planning commission meeting if we need to work through some items.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, staff did a review. It would most likely be something that would occur on the fourth Thursday of each month. That'd be 2 weeks after the regular or 2 weeks before the next month's planning commission meeting. And I would not foresee it being, more than one additional in a month.
Would those be in person or by Zoom or?
That would be the discretion of the chairman, whether he would want to have it as a Zoom meeting or as a work session meeting.
Any more discussion? So otherwise, this would be as needed. It wouldn't be automatically on the book if we see what we have on our agenda. And if necessary, we could. So all in favor of the, having a, well, we said extra meeting. Additional meeting, right. So we had a motion, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, I'd have it, so. And like I said, it'd be on an as-needed basis. Okay. Let's see, that's all we have, no exec session. So, income. Well, no comment, I think we had a good meeting. And I think, it'd be good to have whenever necessary, so we can kind of put them out, because we're gonna have quite a bit going on. And I think we're coming back up with our comprehensive plan to be when March, February. Do you have any order on that, Mr. Paradise? We have any idea about when we're gonna start back up on the comprehensive plan? I mean, the land management use?
The council put that off until January 1st or later. I would anticipate starting back in January unless council gives us direction otherwise.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so and I'd keep that in mind then, okay. You have anything else? We don't have anything further. I appreciate everybody coming, and I appreciate, confidence in the chair. And we look forward to working as a group as usual. We hope you have a Merry Christmas. And we will adjourn until, motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
Hope y'all have a great Christmas.
Yeah, you too, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, okay.